It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah. D-U-E-U.
Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook here, helping you get ready by setting the table for the AFC and NFC divisional playoffs. Let's start in Green Bay with the Packers-Rams game and what will be a strength versus strength battle between the Los Angeles Rams defense and the Green Bay Packers offense. To me, that is the biggest storyline to follow in this contest. Last week, we saw the Rams defense completely frustrate and shut down that Seattle Seahawks offense, as well as quarterback Russell Wilson, and possessing two elite talents in defensive tackle Aaron Donald and cornerback Jalen Ramsey, along with other stellar players like free safety John Johnson III and linebacker Leonard Floyd. It gives the Rams options and opportunities on game day that many other teams and defenses don't have. Being able to get quick pressure on the quarterback while also being able to lock up an opponent's number one receiver in a passing game is a great setup for many defenses. Green Bay has the offense to potentially supersede that, as they are led by future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who may end up winning the MVP award this season. Rodgers has thrown 48 touchdown passes to only 5 interceptions this year at an impressive 8.2 yards an attempt, completing a league-leading 70% of his passes. They also have a potent run game led by one of the league's best in Aaron Jones, with excellent depth behind him in Jamal Williams and the rookie A.J. Dillon out of Boston College. With wide receiver Devontae Adams leading the way and leading the league in touchdown receptions with 18, he is able to alleviate some of the pressure off the other targets like Marquez Valdes-Scantling and tight end Robert Tonyan. So we know they have the talent on the perimeter, and they've blocked things pretty well up front all season long. But this game will be different, as they will be playing without starting left tackle David Bakhtiari, who tore his ACL in practice during preparation for Week 17. How much will that affect the offensive line in this ball game? We shall see. However, they did get a sneak peek in that Week 17 game versus the Chicago Bears, who needed to win that game and get into the playoffs. They played that game without Bakhtiari, and the Packers offense dropped 35 points on them. So the Rams defense versus the Packers offense is the key storyline to watch in this one. Next up, we head out to Buffalo for the Bills-Ravens game, and the biggest storyline to watch in this one will be the play of both third-year quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. We've seen Lamar Jackson do his thing all throughout his career, leading the Baltimore Ravens to the playoffs in each of his 3 seasons, but the unfair but realistic story surrounding him was his performance in the playoffs. He was able to lead the Ravens to a win last week, which was his first in the playoffs against Tennessee, but you already see those that look for a reason to doubt him attribute that win to the defense's containment of Titans running back Derrick Henry. But what makes this storyline intriguing is the way Lamar plays the game lines up perfectly with what the Bills have struggled with all season long, the run game. With the weather supposed to be not optimal, to put it nicely, Lamar playing Lamar's game could be exactly what the doctor ordered for them in this one. For Josh Allen, his breakout 2020 season has been a joy to watch all season long. You saw a player whose confidence grew with each passing rep, with each passing game. And while he may not be the dynamic runner Lamar is, he is still a very strong and dynamic runner in his own right, similar to that of Vince Young in how he ran the football. What Allen has to remember in this game is to not press to try to match highlight plays with Lamar Jackson, just to continue to do what he's done all season long, which is play within yourself and be dynamic when you need to be. Yes, the passing windows may be a little bit tighter this week versus a stellar Baltimore Ravens defense and secondary, but we've seen Allen be able to make plays regardless of the situation this year. So watching both young quarterbacks ball out in this ball game would be a great way to finish Saturday's divisional playoff lineups. Moving on to Sunday, where the Cleveland Browns travel to Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Browns are coming off of a stunning upset of the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, and using that as the backdrop to what the storyline for both teams in this ballgame is, can the Browns pull off the shocker for 2 weeks in a row? The Browns have to be feeling pretty confident that they can heading into this ballgame. Last week, they played without their head coach and some key players on defense due to COVID-19 protocols. With those players and head coach Kevin Stefanski expected to be back for this game, there is a reason for the optimism. They also have the type of offensive attack that can potentially keep a game close and also close out a game. They know that the best way to success is to control the line of scrimmage, win the turnover battle, and maximize opportunities on both sides of the field when they present themselves. We saw them do all three last weekend against Pittsburgh. Now for Kansas City, it's about the dreaded team coming off of a bye and team who rested some players in their last regular season game. It'll be important for them to get off to a great start. One, because of the extended layoff, and two, because you don't want to lose possessions to a team like Cleveland that can run the football. Even though it's a win or go home situation for both teams, a lot of pressure, in my opinion, is on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Browns come into this ballgame with the expectation of everyone outside of the team expecting them to lose this game or get blown out. The Chiefs know that as well, so that's why watching how they open up the game on both sides of the ball will be key. We also know that head coach Andy Reid has historically had his teams ready to play coming off of a bye week, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. So there will be a ton of eyes watching this one regardless, because it's the playoffs, because of the players that are involved in this game and the magnitude of the matchup. But another reason many will be watching or tuning in to see if the Browns can keep their magical season going for at least one more week. And the last NFL divisional playoff matchup of the weekend takes us to New Orleans as the Saints play host to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think the storyline is a pretty easy one to spot. Can the Saints beat the Bucs for the third time this season? Actually, the 2017 version of New Orleans Saints were the last team to accomplish that feat, beating the Carolina Panthers twice in the regular season and in the wild card matchup in the Superdome. So for the Bucs coming into this ball game, you're not worried about history or the storyline for that matter, as every game is different and provides a different matchup and a new set of challenges or opportunities. Tampa Bay is playing much better football than it was the first time they played the Saints, and most definitely better football than the second time when it was a turnover fest out there in Tampa. Their mission is probably more of the simplistic variety, control what you can control, and that is ultimately their own alignment, assignment, execution, and also penalties. New Orleans can't come into this ball game with a relaxed mindset of a team that has beaten their opponent twice already, but they have to feel a little bit more confident in knowing that it is a common opponent. Just like last week's game versus the Chicago Bears was for them, in any rematch game, it's all about adjustments and tinkering with new things. Granted, the stakes are higher in this game because it's the playoffs, but the point will remain. What new wrinkles will the Saints unveil in this game that could ultimately give them the edge for the third time against Tampa Bay? I guess another sub-storyline would be if whoever the losing quarterback is in this ball game, will it be the last time they put on an NFL uniform? That's a legit question, as both guys are well into their 40s, and we know Father Time is undefeated. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Ninth and Lux. Visit the website ninethandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Do You Music with featured artist IW in his latest album, Season 2. You can check that out on iTunes as well as doyoumusic.com. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. And let's begin with the early AFC divisional matchup between the Cleveland Browns and Kansas City Chiefs. Now taking a look at some X factors here, starting with the Browns. Offensively speaking, is none other than quarterback Baker Mayfield. Listen, when Mayfield is on his game, getting the ball out of his hands quickly and efficiently, he gives the Browns offense the right amount of balance necessary to win ball games. The bootleg is his specialty, but his ability off play action to quickly assess and deliver the ball on time is another strong suit to his game in my opinion. Him playing like he did last week against Pittsburgh only means good things for Cleveland. Again, he doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes or match his playmaking ability. He just has to play within himself and keep this offense on pace. Defensively, it'll be the secondary. This group will be put to the test all throughout the game by the Kansas City Chiefs passing game. Last matchup versus Pittsburgh, the Steelers started to find some success in the passing game after halftime, which helped spearhead their comeback. Against Kansas City, they can expect that type of efficiency across the board from start to finish. So it'll be important for everyone in the secondary to keep their eyes on their luggage, so to speak, as we know Patrick Mahomes has the ability to extend the play and strike accurately deep down the field. Now on the Chiefs side of things, the offensive line is going to be the biggest X factor. Facing a pass rusher in Myles Garrett and guys like Sheldon Richardson and Adrian Claiborne, who can be disruptive in their own right, puts a lot of the onus on the offensive line to play their best game in this matchup and be able to keep Patrick Mahomes clean in the pocket. If they can also help spearhead what it looks to be an average run game this week against the Browns, that'll be just the icing on the cake. Now defensively, the front seven will be the biggest X factor. Listen, we know what the Browns will love to come into this ball game and try to do. They want to run Nick Chubb and run Kareem Hunt to victory. So it'll be up to that defensive line and those linebackers to meet the ground game at the point of attack, putting the Browns consistently in 2nd and long and 3rd and long situations. Now let's take a look at some of my keys to victory for both teams in this ball game. And we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns. First and foremost, they have to stay committed, stay grounded to what Browns football is all about. And we talked about that earlier. That's the run game. Leaning on Nick Chubb, leaning on Kareem Hunt, finding optimal matchups for those guys in the passing game could be the way to go for them all throughout this contest. And he can't be afraid to send pressure against Patrick Mahomes. Sometimes you want to rush him to make that decision, rally up, make a tackle, and get off the field. So don't be hesitant to send that extra guy on Patrick Mahomes to try to get him on the ground. And you have to make the plays that are there to be made. This is where I thought they did a fantastic job against Pittsburgh in turning the ball over and capitalizing on those turnovers. When those opportunities present themselves against Kansas City, Cleveland has to make sure to execute flawlessly and replicate the same performance they had against Pittsburgh. Now moving on to Kansas City in this ball game, offensively speaking, they have to work touchdown to check down. They know they're facing a depleted secondary, one that has had its issues all season long without some of its key contributors. We still don't know if Denzel Ward will be out there active in this ball game. So with that being in question, it's obvious that they have to work touchdown to check down to try to rank up that cash register pretty quickly and put this offense in a bind to get out of what they want to do, which is run the football, control the time of possession. So the best defense for Kansas City, in my opinion, is their offense's ability to get up on the scoreboard early, and they can do that if they're working touchdown to check down to try to put the Browns out of the game early and get them out of their game plan. And speaking of game plan, I think they have to let their short passing game supplement the run game if need be. If they find themselves not being able to run the football with effectiveness like they want to do and have some balance on offense, to just let your short passing game be that supplement. They have a lot of catch and run guys out there on the field. Tyreek Hill is one of them. Mecole Hardman is another. You also look at Travis Kelce being a guy that can catch a short pass and work his way down the field to pick up a first down. So let your short passing game supplement your run game. And you can't allow Baker Mayfield to escape the pocket or get to the perimeter. He operates really well on boots, waggles, and sprint outs. Set a hard edge, force him to play within that tackle-to-tackle box within the passing game, and you give yourself a chance defensively. Also, you don't want to let him escape and extend and find a target lurking back across the field to pick up a first down. So make sure you keep him contained within that tackle-to-tackle box. I like the Chiefs in this ball game. We know what their offense is going to do, but I think their defense will be the reason why they win this one. I think they'll step up, stop the run, and force Baker Mayfield to make plays consistently in the passing game. That's why I think Kansas City will move on to the championship game. Let's move on to the night game on Saturday between the Baltimore Ravens and Buffalo Bills. The key offensive X factor, in my opinion, for Baltimore will be their receiving core. Guys like Marquise Brown, Willie Snead, Miles Boykin, and Mark Andrews will have to be consistent from start to finish if they really want to unlock their offensive potential against the Bills. Defensively, I look at the edge defenders like Matt Judon, Pernell McPhee, Yannick Ngakoue. Their being critical to the defensive success will be huge. Keeping Josh Allen contained within the pocket could be the difference between a Ravens win or a Ravens loss out there in Buffalo. Now for the Bills offense, it's going to be the offensive line as they face their best challenge yet in Baltimore, who has size across the board, but also has the ability to play with quickness and explosiveness off the ball. Now, there won't be any time to have any busting assignments in this ball game, as the Ravens have the ability to make you pay consistently. Now, the Bills have been very strong in this capacity up front all season long. Defensively, the linebacking core will have to be front and center versus the run game. It'll be interesting to watch what adjustments they were able to make in this game and what they were able to learn in last year's matchup versus Baltimore, where I thought they did a solid job in keeping Lamar Jackson contained for the most part in that ball game. Them making him a one-dimensional player will be critical. Let's take a look at my keys to victory in this ball game, starting with the Baltimore Ravens and what they have to do to come away with the win. And first, they have to get Lamar Jackson in the rhythm early in the passing game. We saw them do this in the second half against Tennessee. The short passing game allowed him to really get into a groove and open up the offense. Outside, it's got to be push versus pressure. The pressure has to come from within. If they can push on the outside, contain Josh Allen within that tackle-to-tackle box, it goes a long way in helping make him a one-dimensional player. And if necessary, just go back to bully ball. They can run the football really well, one of the best teams in the league. We know the Bills don't do a great job of stopping the run. If they have to go to bully ball, that could be a Ravens victory, again, if need be. On the Bills side of things, as we look at my keys to victory for Buffalo, offensively speaking, don't be afraid to test those Ravens corners deep down the field. They're talented with Marlon Humphrey and also Marcus Peters, but they do get a bit grabby in coverage, and that's an opportunity to pick up a cheap first down deep down the field to help get your offense going. And I hope they find some creativity in the run game. We saw them to attack that aspect of their run game against Indianapolis, utilizing Josh Allen's ability to run. It helped open up their run game and create a little bit of space from him and that pressure that was coming from the front four of Indianapolis. I think when you're facing Baltimore, try to find ways to win. I think the special teams aspect will help them do that. Baltimore is great special teams wise. You have to be even greater than the Ravens in that capacity if you want to win the game. I'm taking the Ravens here. I like the matchup here between the Ravens run game and that Bills run defense. That's going to be the reason why Baltimore moves on to the AFC title game. Look for them to get a great road win out there in Orchard Park. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Now let's move on to the NFC side of things as the Rams travel out to Green Bay to take on the Packers. And when you look at the offensive X factors for the Rams, you look at Jared Goff. How healthy will he be in this second game back from that injury or that surgery on his thumb? If he can be healthy, this is a dangerous Rams football team. Defensively, Leonard Floyd, how disruptive can he be against Aaron Rodgers? Can he be the nuisance that's necessary to disrupt that entire offensive attack? For the Packers in this ball game, look at their offensive X factor. Robert Tonyan, an outstanding tight end that can get down the middle of the field. You could also flex him out a little bit wide and create an optimal matchup. If they're taking Davante Adams away, you got to find another target, and Tonyan can be that guy. Defensively, Jair Alexander is going to be out there on the corners, but when you look at Darnell Savage and his ability to be a matchup player in the passing game, but also a great alley defender versus the run, how dominant if he can be could determine how dominant they can be defensively. So look for him to be a big time X factor. Now let's look at some keys to victory in this ball game, and we're going to start with the Los Angeles Rams. And for me, offensively, it's about the quick passing game to help protect Jared Goff. We know he has that thumb injury, or he's coming back from that thumb injury. He was thrown into the game last week on short notice against Seattle. He played fairly well considering the circumstances, but I think in order to help him have success, it's going to have to be that quick passing game to, one, get him in a rhythm, but two, and most importantly, keep that pressure out of his face. Defensively, it's about playing the run on the way to the quarterback. I believe they can be aggressive in getting after Aaron Rodgers, but they have to be able to do that in order to win. The run game is important, but I do think if they had to choose which one they want to stop in this matchup, it'll be Aaron Rodgers. So they could play the run on the way to the quarterback. And defensively, it's about letting Jalen Ramsey, your best corner, one of the best in the league, follow Davante Adams all throughout the game. Let that be the matchup. Let Ramsey lock him up or try to take him out of the game, and therefore you can focus attention, coverage, and everything else against everyone else outside of Davante Adams. So to me, allow your best to be on their best and play defense with everyone else. For Green Bay in this ball game, first and foremost, you want to move the pocket for Aaron Rodgers. This is one of the best quarterbacks in the game that is able to throw accurately and consistently accurately from many different platforms. So you don't have to have him relegated to dropping back in the pocket, because you're going to face that great interior pressure coming from the Rams. And you also want Aaron Donald to go east and west and not north and south. It gives yourself a chance in the passing game. So move the pocket left to right, change up that launch pad spot for Aaron Rodgers in the passing game. And that's how the Packers, I believe, can have some success throwing the football. Defensively, it's about owning the underneath passing game. We know That's an area where the Rams love to exploit. They love to get those crossing routes going, those pivot routes, those whip routes, those arrow routes by the running back. So it's all about controlling the underneath passing game, rally up, make a tackle, and get off the field. And also with that point defensively, in a run game, you can't allow the Rams to get the edge. If they're able to get the perimeter with their outside zone or with those jet sweeps with the receivers, it could be a problem. So they can't allow the Rams to get the edge in a run game if they want to be successful against a very good, multiple, and versatile offensive attack. I like Green Bay in this ball game. I think we'll see a low-scoring game, as I do believe both defenses will give each other's offense a problem. But when it comes down to which offense can make those plays toward the end of the ball game, I'm going to trust a healthy Aaron Rodgers more so than a banged-up Jared Goff. So I like Green Bay to move on to the NFC Championship. And finally, the Bucs travel to New Orleans to take on the Saints for the third time this season. Looking at the Bucs' offensive X factors, Leonard Fournette offensively, to me, could be a big one. He started to get rolling a little bit last week against Washington, and if he can carry that performance over against New Orleans, it helps make their offense much more balanced. And defensively, Jason Pierre-Paul in that length could be effective against Drew Brees in that passing game. If he can be a disruptive force early on, it goes a long way in helping them have a lot of success on the defensive side of football. Offensively for the Saints, Emmanuel Sanders, he's going to have to step up and make some more plays, and Drew Brees will have to step up and start to target him more in the passing game. And defensively, I look at Marcus Williams on the back end, doing a great job of playing a deep third, keeping that Saints defense in good position to make plays on the ball, not allowing that deep ball to go over their heads. He's going to have to be huge in this ball game. Let's take a look at my keys to victory for both teams in this ball game. We're going to look at Tampa Bay first, and don't lose or waste possessions. That is critical against a team like New Orleans. When I talk about lose possessions, I'm talking about turnovers. They can't have those turnovers that they had in the second matchup that really got out of hand for them early in that ball game. And when I'm talking about wasting possessions, I'm talking about allowing yourself to have those mental lapses, which are drops, blown assignments where the receiver runs the wrong route, or you bust an assignment up front, which allows a sack, or you don't really get guys off the ball in a run game, or you have a quick 3 and out. You can't really waste possessions against New Orleans. And you also have to spread out the Saints defense. I think the Bucs have the matchup they want out on a perimeter. They can spread out that Saints defense and take the best possible individual matchup in the passing game and work that down the field. And they have to get aggressive defensively on the perimeter with those Saints wide receivers. They don't have to worry about anyone beating them deep down the field with speed. The only guy that has a little bit of speed on that Saints receiving core is Deontay Harris, and utilize him in a slot. But everyone else is more of a possession guy. So get physical on the outside, get aggressive to get those bumps on the receivers, which causes Drew Brees to hold that football a little bit longer than he wants to, which then allows you to get back there and get him on the ground. And for the Saints in this ball game, I believe it's about delayed pressure versus Tom Brady. That's a guy that wants to be able to quickly get rid of the football. And if he doesn't like what he sees post-snap, he can be a little bit hesitant in letting that football go, which allows that delayed pressure to force the issue. And also work with more condensed sets on offense. The reason being, we know Tampa Bay wants to do a great job of applying pressure on Drew Brees. And when you have condensed sets, it allows you to take advantage of rubs and picks and little pivot routes, those like that. And also it forces that Bucs defense to communicate effectively to help cover guys up on the back end. And speaking of the back end, I believe the Saints secondary has to protect the middle of the field. If they allow the Bucs to have their success with those over routes or getting the tight end down the seam, they could struggle. If they could protect the middle of the field, it goes a long way in ensuring that they do a great job defensively against the Bucs. I'm going to go with the Saints here in this ball game. I think offensively they're efficient enough to where they could have some success against Tampa Bay, but defensively is where I like the Saints to win this one because they match up well up front and at the back 7 level against Tampa Bay. So look for the Saints to move on to the next round.
It's D-U-E, you tell I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.